Tom usually does this, but I'll step in. Evan Bahr from Augusta, Georgia, formerly was a member of this group. How long ago was that?
Oh, probably 4 or 5 years ago.
Yeah, a while back, but actually you have a lot of South Carolina connections, having gone to school in Clinton at PC and then to USC Med School. And but now you said you like a lot of it. You don't like to drive, so stick around the Augusta area most of the time. But why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself and your background, and then he's going to show us how they turn wood in Augusta.
There you go. There you go. I actually live in North Augusta, South Carolina, but I was in Augusta for 20 years. And then I got tired of being slapped up against each other, and I bought some property in North Augusta and put my house right in the middle of 100 acres. And I got all the trees I need. I got a sawmill in the backyard. Got a pond in the front yard, so I don't need to leave. I've been turning a long time. I'm actually kind of a second-generation woodturner. My father was a woodturner, and he ran around with the Rudy Solznick and Frank Sudall when they were turning, and I kind of learned with him. And then I went off to college, went to medical school, and quit turning, for a few years. And then when I made a little money and bought a few lathes, I'm good to go. This is my dad's smock. That's why it says Big Bob. My wife makes all the good stuff for my dad, and he's passed away, so now I got it. So I'm going to be flashy like he is. What I'm planning on doing today is I'm planning on turning at least two things. One is something called a hemisphere, and you've probably seen a hemisphere in some of the magazines. The Woodturners magazine had one about 4 or 5 years ago, and when I saw it on the front page, I said, well, that's kind of cool, but who wants to turn that? And so I didn't do any of that kind of turn for a while, and then I got into doing some demos. I said, well, that might be a good demo. And once you get into turning these hemispheres, you will...
Don, can you get the microphone going?
We were going to try it without it, but...
I've got a little bit of a cold. I apologize.
It's not you, it's just old folks.
Just old folks? I'm one of them. Let's just shoot that up the back of this thing.
Well, I classify as an old folk.
Don't let me lose those.
Yes, it is.
Let's see how this jewel works. Is this thing on? Can you hear anything?
Yeah.
This is nicer than ours. Ours gives you a headache. Anyway, a hemisphere is just a fancy name for a sphere that's got some curves in it, and hence the name fem, female curves. And I'm a gynecologist, so I kind of know all this. when you make these hemispheres, and I've got some handouts for y'all that you can take with you and copy it if you want to. One of them is on hemisphere, the other is on a emerging bowl. We're not going to do an emerging bowl. We're going to do an emerging hollow form, but that's the only thing I can find. I don't have anybody else's. But this is just like doing a spindle turn. It's going to be wood this way, and you'll turn something that looks like this. You will split it in half and glue it back together this way, and that's a hemisphere. And it's kind of cool, but the cool thing about this is when you're rolling. And it's just the darndest thing. It rolls in a straight line, but it wobbles.
Oh,
The kids love it. Now, I got all wood floors in my house. So I put this thing down, I was going to roll it. And the darn thing started rolling by itself. And it rolled all the way across the room. I said, man, my house is on a hill. It'll roll forever. So these things, the kids love it. You can't keep these in stock because they just keep stealing it from you. So I made a number of them. Piece of small ones, pass those around. It's kind of cool thing with this thing is there's only one side to this thing once you got it. If you put your finger on it, you put it down there and go, it'll go on the same side the whole way. You never have to take your finger off. Some mathematician thought that. So what I did with my blank, I've got 2 pieces of wood. I've got 2-sided sticky tape in there. And I put it in there, and I usually put a couple of clamps on there and squeeze it so that the adhesive will get into the pores of the wood on each side. Because a lot of people aren't real excited about turning wood that's just taped together. That kind of keeps it together. I don't know if you can see that or not. I got this off Amazon. It's got little points in it. Because if you use just the cone will split it open. Push this all in there so that it makes a hole so it doesn't split when you put this thing in there.
Let me show one more time.
Oops.
No,
The spur drive.
spur drive.
But that spur drive is really nice for a lot of things. When you're doing rough turning with bowls or wet wood, you can slap that thing on there and you can move it any way you want to, and the spurs hold it pretty good. Because you know how you do when you're doing wet wood. You stick it in there and it slides all over the place. That's kind of a cool little thing. So that's what I use most of the time when I'm doing any kind.
I can't read this, so, and they've got one copy of this too. What we'll do, we'll put this in the library so everybody will have access to it. So anyway, because there's quite a number of pages, but.
Yeah, and I didn't think,
Scan it, we can take it to somebody's home and scan it and then email it to everybody.
I'll scan it, you can give me copies of it.
Send it to me, I'll put it on the website.
see, I didn't think this up. I stole it from that guy that I Xeroxed his stuff. So I'm not a highbrow thinker. I'm a stealer. So I've got my 2 pieces of wood. I've got my 2-sided sticky tape. That guy in his little article, he uses hot glue, which will stick a whole lot better, but it is a real bear to get apart. And he's got to soak it in alcohol, and I said, no, I'm not doing that. We're going to do it this way. And I'll show you how I keep it from falling apart once I get it trued up, and this will help. So all we're going to do is turn this into a cylinder. So this is just plain old spindle turning. Now I have a one-way lathe, so I'm not real familiar with this one. So you just bear with me, and we're gonna do the best we can. Whenever I rough turn anything with splinter wood, I'm going to put my shield on. Now, I know you're going to hate it when I say I take my shield off, but I can't see good enough to wear this shield all the time.
That's probably on low speed if you want.
Oh, no problem, no problem. We're good here. I can get it faster. So all we're going to do is just turn this to a cylinder. For years, I didn't ever use a roughing gouge because I just didn't use it, but it's really a nice tool once you get used to it. And you can see I turn it almost 90 degrees instead of doing it this way. It works more like a skew when I skew it this way for me. And if I'm going to go to the opposite side, I turn it the other way. Using this tool, like any tool, you got 3-point fixation, hand, hand, hand. So it'll jerk it out of your hand when you get that cut.
Is this being recorded?
Yeah.
Good.
Once I've got the corners off there, you can clean it up a little bit. trying to do is get a cylinder. It doesn't make any difference what size it is. This is kind of the no measure wood turning piece, which is kind of nice. So we're just a rough turn the cylinder. That's enough of that. And I have to find my measuring device that I put up here so I wouldn't lose it. This piece is way too big for just making one. Now this would probably make 2 of these, but we're only going to make one. This would make 2. But what you'll do is, once you get your cylinder, you're going to measure the diameter of the cylinder. And it doesn't, you know, it's pretty close. And you'll get your pencil.
Is there a proportion between the length and the diameter?
What it's going to be, I'll show you in just a second, there's no proportion that you have to measure, but it's got to be exactly the same as the diameter and the length. So that's why you get the diameter and you put it on there, because it's going to be the size of a sphere, and everybody's made a sphere before. So this is what we're going to do. Is we're going to. That's all our good wood there. The rest of this is waste. But we need room on this side to be able to do your turning, because this chuck will get in the way, and you just need a little bit. So in that little pamphlet that I gave you, they'll say make it 2 inches longer than the diameter that you're turning. So that gives you a little bit of room on each side. So now that we've got that, we're going to do the middle. And we're going to measure the middle. So this is going to be 2 inches on this side and 2 inches on that side. Right there is going to be our middle. So now we find the middle of that. Here we go. So that's going to be our blank. This is waste. This is waste. So what we're going to do is take this, just get this out of our way. But we're going to do a little measuring first. The way that hemisphere is, you're going to turn it down to a certain diameter, and whatever the diameter you're turning down the end has got to be the width of this part. So what we're going to do is make this right at 1/8 on each side. And it's just an arbitrary thing. You don't. All it has to be is the same diameter of this as it's going to be on the poles. And you want the diameter to be big enough so it doesn't bend while you're putting some pressure on it. So that's pretty close right there. And then before you start turning, you're going to take your compass. And this is what's going to make your little piece of paper so you can measure where you're going to curve. So instead of measuring from the center to the end of your sphere, you're going to measure from here to the end of your sphere. And you're going to use that measurement. You don't have to know what it is, you just need to have it. And you're going to make a template to cut this thing out. So you put it right there on the corner, and you're going to make a little arc. And you'll see what this is for here in just a little bit. But now you've got your arc, and that's your template for what you're going to do to make your curve. So we'll just cut this thing out of there real quick. Ideally, when you're doing this, you would like the curve to be exactly the same on each side. And that's what you're shooting for, because when you turn it 180 degrees or 90 degrees, it's not going to line up unless you've got it dead on. But you'll see it doesn't make a lot of difference, because you can cover your mistakes. So there's your little template that you're going to use to measure your curve on each side. You'll be measuring it this way, and you're going to be measuring it this way. So you can see why it needs to be from there to there, because you're not going to use that measurement. So don't let me lose my temper. So let's get rid of some of this waste. And again, I'm putting it on my hip, holding it. Again, this is all waste too. I'm just trying to get rid of it without exploding. I think this is a piece of sycamore that I got, I'm pretty sure. Sycamore is good to turn, but it's just an ugly piece of wood. You'll end up wanting to dye it or paint it or do whatever, but you know, sycamore is not my favorite. But I had a whole tree, so I'm not going to waste the tree. When I'm doing these, I'll show you why I'm going to do this in a second, but I'm going to make a little cone that's going to fit into the end of this live center, and it effectively presses it together instead of pushing it apart. And once I take that little point out of it, so that's why I do this. So you can see where it tries to push it apart, because there's a little cone in there. So we're gonna fix that. This is my mobile bandsaw. So I don't know how many of y'all have this live center pins. While this stays the same, that little thing will come out of there, and you can put different things in there. So we're going to do that. Don't let me lose that. Now that will effectively compress it instead of splitting it open. Now when I squeeze it, it's going to squeeze it together and not squeeze it apart. All right, so we got that side pretty much done. We're going to take some meat off this other side. I forgot to tell you, when I get a catch, it's because I did it on purpose. It's going to be a learning opportunity. You understand that? Okay. All right, I got that out of the way. Now, as you all probably know, when you're doing spindle work, the tool is going to cut the cleanest when you have support of the fibers. So you're going to cut downhill on one side and downhill on the other side, and it's going to cut the cleanest. If you go this way and then come back up, you're going to pull all the fibers up and it's going to be a terrible finish. But if you cut downhill, right to the center and downhill, right to the center, you're going to have a lot better cut. And you may as well just practice that, because that's what it is. But the cut is a lot cleaner if you're using fiber support. You can see why I left more meat on this side, so that you got to get to it. And you can cut it left-handed, but I'm just better right-handed. Hey, teaching you not to do that. If you choose too small a diameter here, you're going to be real weak right here where you've got two pieces of wood. So you err on the side of too large the first time you do it, and then you can get it as skinny as you feel like you can do, and see what we're doing. So I'm getting this diameter and this diameter the same as this width right there. Because when I turn it, they have to all be the same. So I almost always cut these two first, because when I get too scared to go thinner, then I can always leave this one wider. And my next stop with this is my super glue. I believe in super glue. And I just put some super glue right there and let that get hard and stick together, and I put a little super glue right there and let it get stuck together. Don't ever forget your debonder. I usually put it in my pocket, because once you get stuck, you can't reach it. So I'm gonna put that. You know you've done it. You know you've done it. Just I did. You just don't want to know. I had to get my wife to get me, and she just laughed. Well, don't ever tell your wife you glued yourself to your piece of wood, because she'll never let you forget. find it, Tom? You're a good man. All right, so we're just gonna get these about the same. And then we'll be in business. All right, so that's about as skinny as I want those to be, because I get them any skinnier than that, they'll start flexing on me. So right now we've got a piece of wood that has the width and the diameter that's the same. So if you just turn the corners off of that, then you'd have a sphere. Everybody's done a sphere. Now what we're going to do is, we're going to not do a sphere, we're going to do a hemisphere. And that's where this all comes in. So what you're going to do is you'll have your little template. And you're going to, if you keep that template vertical and horizontal, you keep using that until you get it right down there to where it touches everything. And that's going to be a perfect quarter of a sphere on this side, and do the same thing on that side. When you turn it, it's supposed to look like that.
Did you need to adjust your center lines there?
I'm going to take a look at it right now. I'm glad you said that. Because when you get old, you can't remember what you do. So let's see how my center lines are. So I'm too chicken to do it as skinny as I said, so I'm going to make it exactly the same diameter. Now that'll change my arc a little bit, but we'll be able to deal with that. All right, so now I don't want to touch anywhere there's mark. So we're going to just cut. If I go from that line to right there, and I cut it just straight off, I'm still not cutting into to my good piece. So now it's just more movement of unwanted wood. You can do that with any type of tool. I'm going to use a spindle gouge and just practice my cut. Same thing. Again, that makes a really nice finish for a crappy piece of wood. If you want to, you can practice your curve and just do a little curve right there and keep doing that. But I'm going to get rid of this wood because you don't want to watch me do this all afternoon. Now, if I just made it this way and this way, and you turned it, it's called a, what is it called? A spheric, it's a sphericon. If it's just a cone and a cone turned on axis. It still has only one side, but the name of it is sphericon, as opposed to a hemisphere, which is going to be with the curves. So now I've got half of that thing done. same thing on the other half. Oh, there you go. That'll never do. We're in trouble now.
That was on purpose.
That was on purpose. All right, we're going to save this jewel. I can save this. It'll take a second, but I can save it. That's why I don't like sycamore. Got plan B. This is a collet. If I brought the right side collet. Oh yeah. Never fear. Resourceful. I don't know how many of y'all have a collet chuck, but this is worth its weight in gold. Especially if you're a pin turner.
Is that a deal?
No, I can't afford a Beal. It's one of those cheap ones. It's a Penn State or something like that. It'll make it a little harder for us to do this, but we're going to do it. Just need something to drive it with. That was on purpose too, just to let you know.
Well, you do learn more from watching someone fix mistakes.
Well, you really do. But it's just kind of embarrassing for you to be the demonstrator and do it.
We'll get over that.
You'll get over it?
We'll get over it.
All right, let's see how long that's going to hold before I have to put some tape on it. All right. But they're getting backwards. That would have been bad.
You can put a piece of painter's tape around it.
Yes, I can, but I'm going to use super glue. Because I love super glue. I love super glue.
Super new color.
Ah, you're right.
we couldn't do that. He's just telling his story right now. I'll go back and redo
Just gonna make it a little harder to get in there. All right, we got the waste wood out of there, and the next thing we're going to do is we're just going to take wood from wherever that touches, because we don't want to take any more wood there, we don't want to take much wood there, and same on the other side. So you can always just mark it, or you just take a little bit of time and check. Now, you can do it with any tool that you want to, but I've got this big old scraper, and it's almost the right curvature to this thing, so this kind of like cheating, but we're going to cheat. It is going to be hard on the other side. We're going to have to be resourceful.
Yeah.
But we've already proven we're resourceful. So scraper, hold it just like that. And when you're cutting, you're going to cut down this way because you're pressing down on the fibers. If you cut this way, pulls it off. That's what I did when I foobarred that thing. Take your piece.
Can you hold it more horizontal so they can see it with the camera?
Hold what more?
The pattern.
That's right here?
Yeah.
There you
Like
go.
that? So that's what you're going to do, is just nibble away at it. So we're going to continue to nibble. Keep moving your tool rest up there, because these scrapers, there's a large surface area that's touching that wood, and when it grabs, it'll get you right there on the chin, and your tooth will be loose for 2 months. Don't ask me how I know that.
Ask his wife.
Oh yeah, yeah. And we were going on vacation the next day, man. I was so whiny. She almost couldn't stand it. You know how us men are when we get hurt? Yeah, we're pitiful. I was going to J.C. Campbell, as a matter of fact. I don't know how many of y'all have been to J.C. Campbell. It's a cool place, but that's like going back in time.
I'll be there at the end of this month.
You're going to be there at the end of this month? What are you going to be doing?
Segmented bowls.
Segmented bowls? They got a nice setup over there for that. I went and did a bamboo fishing rod, which was kind of cool, except my professor was kind of out there. I don't know if y'all, I'm not even going to name names, but it was something. Have you ever been to J.C. Campbell?
Every year.
Oh, yeah, it's a hoot. Were you a hippie when you grew up? She still is? Nothing wrong with that. Be like going home. so we're doing the easy side. Now I just put it up there. You can see right there in the middle. I got to take more off. So just take it off where it tells you to take it off. It's almost idiot proof, but I can mess it up. So you can see everything right there in the middle. I want to go back to J.C. Campbell because I've been watching Forged in Fire. How many people watch Forged in Fire? Man, I love that show. Now you can still see just by the gap from here to here how much deeper I have to go because the way I cut it, once you get it laid in there right, it should be just like that. Can you see that? Yeah. Okay. First one or two of these you'll do, you'll try and get this absolutely perfect, and you'll finally figure out that, hey, it's just a toy. Just get her done and turn it, and you can fix it with the Dremel. See, now we've got about the right shape. We just got a 1/4 of an inch to go. I'm doing the easy side. This side's going to be kind of a pain. We're gaining on it. So now you can see I've taken a little too much off the middle, and I need to do some right here, and a little bit right there. Excuse me?
Glue it back.
Glue it back? I'm not that good yet. I'll figure out a way, though. I'm going to tell you. I'm going to figure out a way. Am I keeping you awake?
Yes.
All right.
Now, if the other side is hard, can't you turn the wheel the opposite direction and stand on this side of your lathe?
Sure.
Then it wouldn't be so hard.
That's true.
Why don't you just turn the piece around and put the other end in the car?
I don't think you do. Isn't the other side broken?
I think she was just kidding. She was just poking fun at me. So we got the right curve, and you remember I made this a little wider, so that now this thing is actually going to be pretty good. So we're going to go to the other side and see how we can do.
Reverse chuck it?
Can I reverse chuck it? I could, except that's all raggedy now, and I won't be able to stuff it in there and have it be on center. So we're going to have to suffer with my misery. We got some comedians here today, don't we? I didn't know it was gonna be such a tough crowd.
I'm not moving around on the other side of the lane and running reverse.
Oh, you gotta like that one. That was a good one. Well, we're getting it right in the middle. All right, I'm cheating. Cheating. Right there and right there. We're getting close. Gotta hold my mouth just right when I do that. You're rooting for me, aren't you? You're rooting for me? All right. I think Lee's back there. He's rooting against me. I know how Lee is. He's rooting against me. He wants to see a train wreck. All right, so that is really pretty close. So we're not going to attempt fate. And what we're going to do is we're going to smooth these corners off. And then we're going to split this thing open and see how good a job we did. always looks better when you sand it a little bit. Just using this skew as a negative rake scraper. I don't know how many of you use this Merca sandpaper that's Abernet, or it's got a bunch of holes in it. It's the best sandpaper I can find, especially since I do a lot of wet wood. I do a lot of hats. All the sawdust goes right through it, and you just blow it off with a blower and keep on going. It lasts a long time. I buy it by the carton. I get it off the internet. I can't remember where. You can find it though. You sell it here? It's kind of expensive if you buy it by the piece, but if you buy it by the roll,
Yeah, we don't sell it by the roll.
that's the way to do it.
But we can order it.
There you
So
go.
give us a shot.
There you go. So now that's just kind of your roughed out piece. You've got a little line where you know your tips are. Now I always cut it a little bit wider because when I turn it sometimes I didn't do a real good job. But we're going to see how good a job I did. Let me cut off this gnarly part here that I'm embarrassed about.
Did you put a finish on it before you split it?
I usually don't. The reason why is when you turn it around and glue it together, you always get glue on that doggone thing somewhere. And if you've already finished it, it can get somewhere. And plus, you're going to sand it again. You'll see what I mean because I know I'm going to have some flaws in that. And you get your handy dandy Dremel tool out, and you can smooth those away, and nobody will ever know.
How did you glue the two halves of the stock together so you could facilitate the splitting?
It's double-sided sticky tape. You'll see in a minute. Yep. It usually will jump out about once every fourth time. And I've been lucky the last 3 times it hadn't jumped out. We don't have a bandsaw around here, do we?
Yes, we do.
We do. At a tool shop, we have a bandsaw? No way.
Yeah. I'll do that too.
All right, so now we've got our piece that's halfway done. When I put that double-sided sticky tape on there, I made sure that I didn't take it all the way end to end, so I have a little place right there that I could get my little prying bar in there so I don't tear it up. So let's see what we'll do. You get your prying bar and your fine adjustment tool.
Need a hole in it?
Tell you what, you would. Hold that thing right there.
Get somebody to hold it for
So you yeah, it's kind of like a fortune cookie. So you split your little unit back in half, and then you'll turn it 90 degrees. You'll we're going to see how good you did. And we didn't do real good yet. But it's not bad. And this is just kind of to eyeball it. Now the first time I did this, I thought I did it perfect. You see, now you've got your hemisphere that you're gonna cut these tips off, and you'll use your little Dremel once you get it glued together, and you can smooth those little steps off of there, and it'll just roll like nobody's business. But the first one I did, I got it all apart, and I took all the tape off, and I put the glue on there, and I put it back together, and I was so proud because it fit perfect. It fit perfect. I said, how in the world did I do that? And then it dawned on me, I glued it back the same way I took it apart. I said, well, that's stupid. I couldn't do it. So be careful, because you can do that. Man, I said, man, I did a great job.
This side up.
And you can do all kind of stuff with these. If you look at that guy's website that does them, he's turned them and turned some holes in them and made boxes out of them. I put some magnets in this one, so now it's a sculpture. It's not a turning; it's a sculpture. And I make something for my artist friend every Christmas. Her two favorite colors are orange and whatever that color is. So I'm going to fancy that up and send that to her. But that's going to be your hemisphere. So that's just kind of a rough job. But those are really, really fun, and your kids will love them.
How much space did you actually use in that? Was it
Just
one strip down the middle?
I have one strip down the middle, but I only leave about 1/8 of an inch on each side.
Okay.
Because when you're turning that to a cylinder, you're going to cut a little bit
Right.
off of there. It's not a big deal if you leave it. But it's not carpet tape, but it's got
Right.
it's not cloth in there. It's just paper in there. But it works real well. I got this off the internet too. I couldn't tell you where. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
When you lay the thing out in the first place, have you ever thought of and tried taking the cube and laying out the radii, and then on two faces of the cube, using the bandsaw to rough out the contour?
Now, I'm glad you said that. Because you can sure do that, but if I came here and did that, this is not a bandsaw club, this is a tournament. Well, what would you think of me if I came here and bandsaw? Come on now. What other questions you have? That was going to be next. All right, now is it time to take a break, or what do you want to do next? I got a little bit of time. I got to put this faceplate together since I didn't bring
Yeah,
one.
let's go ahead and take a break.
Take the break and let me put this thing together.
Give you a minute, so come back and have the round.
They are.
You win again.
Pass this around. That's how I map it out.
Hey, don't lose that, I want 5.
I won't lose.
Pass that around. That's how I map it out. That's just for instruction there. The first time I did it, I used pine because it's cheap, but after that, you want to use some nice wood. What we're going to do next is we're going to do an emerging hollow form. You've seen the emerging bowls on all the internet sites, but I wanted to do something that I thought nobody did before. So I was doing these hollow vessels, and I found on the internet somebody else had already done it. So nothing is new.
I need to make an announcement real quick.
Yeah, go ahead.
It wasn't marked on the gift cards, but everybody that got a gift card, they're $20 denominations. Normally they're marked, they just forgot. So everybody that got a gift card, it's $20.
Yes, sir.
Before you do it, you sign that up here.
It was $1,000, but it dropped to 20. The value of the dollar shrank.
I think Aaron gave it to me.
Okay.
Dave, mention that step center.
I did. I already sold it. We had one in stock. On our next order, we'll order a couple of them.
50.
All right, I'm passing around a couple of blocks of wood that are already mapped out how I do this. The key to getting this to work out is you have to get the axis of each cylinder exactly dead on. So you can see I marked an X right here, and I put a little piece of wood there because when I put this on my faceplate, I have to put it on with something, and I want to make sure it's exactly in the center, but I don't want to put a mark in my wood because that's going to end up to be the side of my piece, so I don't want that hole in there. So that's why I put a little piece of wood to glue it on there, and that's just to make sure I can still center it without damaging the wood. And on this piece, you can see I got a top and a side. And that's obvious. This is going to be the top of the piece, and this is going to be the side. I always do the side first, because when I want to do the hollowing, I want to make sure the second part is the top, and I'm going to hollow it from the top so I don't have to take it off here and then guess to where putting it back in absolutely dead center. So I draw my circle here. My piece of wood is always going to be thinner than it is wide that way, because you want it to come out of the block. So I put a line right there, so that's going to be the center, and I put the same line right there so I know that's the center. And if I draw my circle with the compass right there, then I use my compass in the same circle and I put it right there and draw another circle. So now I know I got a straight axis down there and a straight axis there. So that's where my cylinders, my spheres got to go. Okay, does everybody get that? Because that's the critical part of getting this thing right. Because you can do a hemisphere there, and if you put it on there sideways, then it doesn't look good. Tell me, I'm just telling you. And we may get a little off center because these are a little tricky to get taped on there exactly where you want to, because they have a tendency to move a little bit. If you're not parallel when you push it, if you're a little bit like that, then it walks a little bit. And I'll show you how I try and do this. So the first thing I do is I put it on there, and I draw a little square around that so I know where I'm going to put it. Just because when it flies off and it hits him in the head, I can put it back in that square and it's pretty straight. So I got double-sided sticky tape. I love double-sided sticky tape. So that's what we're going to use. And we're going to pull that stuff off of there.
Now, the amount you're going to remove on your side hemisphere,
It's good.
short of halfway of the hemisphere.
The side one, I'm going to do the whole half of it. I'm going to do the whole hemisphere. The top, I don't do all the way.
Okay. And how much do you do with the top?
Just whatever you want to. It's not a big deal. So now when you put this thing on here, you try and be parallel when you hit it, because if you don't, then it's not going to be centered. Because that tape does kind of stick. And this is not the critical one. All right, so we got it on there now. If you've got some clamps that'll fit around this thing, it'll be great. If you don't, then you have to rig it up so that you can do it. And it's not so critical on this one because I'm going to leave this tailstock on most of the time, and it won't fly off. But when I turn it, it's going to be a little bit off center, and you really kind of need a little extra help. So we're just going to let it press in there. So now we got the side and the top. This is where our sphere is going to be, and that's where the sphere is going to be. The first thing I'm going to do is make a cylinder. And again, I'm just taking waste away. And I drew this on here so that you can see it when we got it turned on. You'll be able to see where you want to go, and you can actually see that line right there. But that's why I put it on there, so you can kind of see this ghost image. It's kind of hard to see, but if you got a little bit of black line on there, it'll work. Don't get tied up in there. Don't get tied up in there.
Right. Where am I going to go? Just turn it off for 1 second.
Don't get me started. If he hurts a certain part, I can fix it. But you remember, I'm a gynecologist.
Happy to be at your service.
There you go. Don't get me started. My wife said I had to be good today.
Since when have you listened to her?
She won't know.
Oh, I listen to her all the time. It just doesn't get all the way to my brain. All right, so you can see what we're going to do. We're going to make a cylinder that goes this way. So let's do it. Now you don't want to put your hand into that thing because it'll bite you. So let's just kind of take a look at it. It's kind of fun to watch it come to life. See, I chipped a corner off there. I'm not worried about that because you'll see why later. It'll all come off. But we're going to be moving a lot of wood by the time this is over. And I'm going to remove that wood right to that line. And I put that line on there so that I can make sure I cut it straight. If it looks like it's all like that one there, that looks horrible. But that one looks good. So we'll get this thing done. I'm a little low.
Would you attach the waste block with just a double-sided tape again? Or?
Double-sided tape.
Okay.
You'd think I have stock in that, but I don't. I try to stop just short of halfway just because I know when I'm shaping this thing, I'm going to end up doing a finish cut. But you can see I got another 1/4 inch to go. But I got it pretty straight, and that's what you're looking for, is nice straight. How many of you are coming to see Jimmy Clues next month? He's probably the best demonstrator you'll ever see, as far as I'm concerned. He's the most entertaining. I would not miss him. If I'm not on call, I'm coming to see him. We're gaining on it, aren't we? But you can see all I now have is a cylinder, and that's what I'm looking for, and I'm going to make a hemisphere out of that next. To the train. I'm almost to it there, but I'm off here a little bit, so I want to stay away from the center of that. And just cut more out. Still too thick right there on the outside. And that's pretty good. So again, once we get to that stage, we're going to leave that alone, because if you put any tool to that wood again, it's going to cut. Well, that's kind of crappy there. We'll fix it. So now, how well do you trust your double-sided sticky tape? How well do you trust it? Because it's coming your way.
It's a sticky situation.
It's a sticky situation. And I don't know how y'all do your spheres, but if you want to do spheres pretty quick, you measure that, you go about halfway right there. So you draw a line cutting that in half. And you draw a line cutting that in half. So anything from there to there is going to be waste, and you just cut that off. You don't have to dink around with it.
It's a face plate, and then you put 2 pieces of wood on it.
Yeah, it's a big face plate.
Yeah.
All right, don't come off of there. Same thing again, half and half. It's all the closer it gets, huh? Go big or go home. Bless you. Now when you drew your circles on there, you are sure to make a template for it. And you did the template just the same way you did the other one. You just make your hemisphere just like you did. I don't know if you can see it or not. This template to finish up your sphere or your hemisphere. So you can see it's touching right there where that little shoulder is. And I go back to a kind of a negative rate scraper because I'm a chicken. And I'm proud to say it. Some folks can do that by eye, but I just can't do it by eye. But you can see where I need to cut is right off that shoulder. When you flip it around and do the top, it's a whole lot easier because you'll see you already have your template on there and you don't have to worry about it anymore. So this is the time-consuming part right here, this part. So that's the general curve. Now you know I got to take a quarter of an inch off the whole thing because you can see I got a quarter of an inch here, and it's got the right curve. So we know what we got to do now. You'd like to have that as sharp a demarcation as you can because it just looks better. And we know we want to take it all the way to that black line, so I still got that much to play with, because that little flat spot would drive me crazy. Alright, so we need to take that part off. Can you see that? Getting closer. So it's too tight right there. Are you rooting for me? Yeah. All right, you're rooting for me. Don't root against me. Right, so all that has to come off right there. Right there. If you make your template out of a little real thin plywood, it works a lot better because it doesn't bend on you. Because you can force it and kind of make it look like it fits, but that plywood doesn't lie. If you really wanted to cheat, you could make your template out of a piece of steel, get the edge real sharp, and just lay it on there and cut it. But you know, this is a turning club. I still have a flat spot right there, and I don't like it, and we're going to try and fix it. But if you were in a pinch and you wanted to continue on, that flat spot wouldn't show up, because I'm not going to take this all the way down to all the way halfway. I'm going to take it only about a quarter of a way, and that flat spot's not there. But I'm telling you all my secrets. Not trying to bore you, I'm hurrying. Almost. You know, I could fiddle with this all day, but we're going to call it good on this side. So now we've got the side done. Can you see the top? The top is here, and I still have my little hole so that I know I can center it when I flip this on its edge. So I know that's going to be dead center of this, and we got that. This center is going to be. And this is the second step is a little bit easier. Except it doesn't hold as well. We're going to fix that because I don't want to hurt anybody today. Now let's see how strong that was. You see, you could pull it off pretty easy. So see, now I've only got half the amount of sticking power with this side. But I'll show you how to get more sticking power. It's another thing you can buy from Harbor Freight. You just love it. Now, if you're really worried, you could just glue it this time because you're not going to go anywhere else. But we're not going to glue it. We're going to live large. So, find your center of that sphere right there. We're going to take it on up here and try and get it flat, because if you don't get it flat, then it's going to be off a little bit.
Why do you put it on at an angle instead
Oh.
of square?
I mean, put it on at an angle. I didn't mean to. Come on.
Instead of lining up with the other marks, is that what you're saying, or
Yeah, instead of the pencil marks that
could
you're drawing
could you
on.
not use your pencil marks that you had on the last one to line it up?
You might be able to if you got it in the right orientation, but if you had it, if it's in dead center, then it's going to be off a little bit. And all you're wanting to do is get the center of this thing flat on this. So whether you could, because half of it's gone already, so you're just guessing. So all I want to do is lay that thing on there flat with that in the center. So we're calling that good. Now, that's not going to hold that, but I got something that'll help you hold it. So Harbor Freight, keep going.
Yeah. Well, it depends on, if you want to, it's going to last a long time, and you want to.
So you got to get that hot. The hotter you get it, the more sticky it's going to be, and the more it's going to get into the pores of the wood and stick.
We got one out there that gets real hot. Not Harbor Freight, but it's hot.
Is it hot?
It's hot.
This one's not very hot. This
Industrial grade glue too. Good, you know, because there's a difference in the glue sticks. A commercial glue stick that the cabinet guys use is actually a better bond than that. Maybe not as flexible as that, but a harder bond. So you can get, there's 4 or 5 different types of glue sticks you can get depending on the application you want.
I forgot where I was. I shouldn't say Harbor Freight, should I?
You feel something on the back of your head
I won't say Harbor
okay.
Freight again.
Try it.
Dave, you know, excuse me to do a commercial.
That's right.
I am mortified I did that. We're going to let this get hot.
David, maybe that's why it keeps flying off.
That might be.
We could sell you a good program.
I might buy one. I don't know how long it's gonna take this to heat up, but it'll heat up.
If you ever tried craft paper and wood glue that,
Craft paper and glue?
wood glue, yeah.
Yeah, but it takes too long. I like that, I'm an instant gratification kind of guy. There we go. So this is my plastic MIG gun. It's going to hold the most where the pores are a real good hold. And I just kind of go back and forth just like you would if you were welding. When it comes time to get this off, you won't believe how strong it is. Now, if you're gonna do a hollow form, I put a little wedge in, because you're gonna put a lot of pressure here, and as it spins around, you'll be putting pressure where there's nothing to hold it. So if you just put a little wedge in there, just like that, that helps it considerably. About out of glue. If you're just going to do a emerging bowl, which is a whole lot easier, you probably didn't need to put this little wedge in there. So we're good now. We're just going to let that cool off, and we'll just test it, see how strong it is. But what we're going to do is the same thing. We're going to take all that stuff off right there. We'll make another cylinder, and now you'll have this as your template. Because you don't care now, you just want to cut it down to this size, because if you cut it down to a template that's not the right size, then you're going to have a little step on there. And I'm just going to pull this. So you can see how strong that thing is now. But I'm going to leave that there while I'm doing all this cutting, because it torques it pretty good. And now when you spin it, you'll be able to see the ghost sphere in there. And you can see it rocking a little bit. If we had a small faceplate on there, this would be tough to do. So we're going to do the same thing. And we're going to see how good we are lining it up. But see, now you can see you're going to have a guide right there for how you're going to curve it, so you don't have to mess with that, that template anymore. But it's kind of fun to watch it come alive. I'm just guessing, but it looks like we got it centered pretty good. We'll see. Flat. Now we just need to do better.
on this side, it doesn't matter how deep you go.
You can
If
go
you
as-
only want a little bit sticking out, you can have just a little.
You can go as deep as you want to, but then it starts looking like it's, you want some meat on there so that
Right,
you can
right.
pretend like that's just coming out of a big old log. If you get it too small, then it
Right, but if you just want a little bit sticking out,
Oh, yeah, if
it's
you
the
just
same
want-
technique, you just gotta get
it's exactly
the
the
right
same.
curvature.
Yep.
To match it.
How close are we? We're really pretty good. Now this side is a little thicker. But I'll show you how to fix that too. See what? So you can see where we're cutting into the sphere right there, so we know we weren't dead on. But that's okay. The thing where it'll show you is right in here. And then once we get that as close to spherical as we like it, if there's a little step off, you're just going to carve it off there. Nobody will know. So we're just touching it there, just a hair thick there. We're really pretty close. So we're good there. Not quite there. All right, so you can see we're pretty much on it there, and we're off 16th. carving tool comes in handy. And your carving tool, you just take that thing down there. And you can get that so nobody can see it. And you'd flatten this out and make that nice and square, but you get the gist of it. So now that's pretty much the sphere coming out of the block. The next thing you do, it obviously would be to hollow it. Now I don't know how much time do we have.
Well, you've got half hour, 45
All
minutes.
right, you want me to go ahead and do some hollowing, or do you want to see that big hollowing unit?
See the big hollow?
You like the big hollowing unit because the hollowing is not real exciting.
Now, let's go ahead and see the other thing.
Okay, I'll show you how that thing works.
Special tool.
Brought the special tool. I'm sorry. So you'll have to use a chisel. But we're not going to chisel that. But let me just take this off of here and send it around so you can see it.
How do you get that hot glue off that?
Excuse me?
How do you get the hot glue off that?
All right, what I do is I take my chisel and I chisel it underneath one side and chisel it underneath the other side and then twist it off and it'll come off. It just takes a little while.
So it's not an issue in the pores and the inside?
No, it's not an issue. And I'm going to leave it on there because I'm going to take this home and I'll hollow it and get it fixed up so that it looks good. I just want to leave it in the same spot. Send that around there. By no means beautiful, but if when you work on it, you can work on it so you'll never even know that there was a mess up. But it's on there. You can't get it off of it with that stuff. What I'm going to do is I'm going to show you how that little machine works. And if you want me to do some hollowing with it, I can put a piece on there and hollow it. It's just to get it done, it'll take an hour. Or we can make a finial. We can do anything you want to. The finial is going to take that long. But see, we're just going to pretend like we made this today. When I saw this tool, man, a friend of mine had it, I said, oh, this is just too good. Again, Trent Bosch sells this thing, but I wasn't going to pay that money, so I made it.
Tim Yoder cell phone, get the source of that, I didn't like that.
The elbow tool, there's a whole bunch of people making different stuff like this. You've seen the ones that have the laser on it. This essentially kind of works like the laser, but it is just so cool. Let's get this thing lit up.
Now, those bolts just through the metal, or do you have bearings in those?
I got bearings in there.
Yeah.
All right, let's see if we get that thing warmed up. I can't see it very good from here. There's too much sawdust on that thing. Tell you what, I'm going to just show it to y'all.
Well, they see it better with the camera.
Can you see it up there?
Yeah.
All right. So what this is, it's just like a laser. If you're doing the hollow end, you put your laser right there, and the laser goes somewhere where your thickness is. Now, what this is as long as that camera stays exactly on, doesn't move, what you can do is you can take a little piece of tape, and you take your little piece of tape and you can put it right there where your cutter is. But you're going to really like this. This is cool. And then, when you do your hollowing, you can see where your cutter is.
Oh, man.
Isn't that slick? And that's just slick as can be. Will this thing come on?
Yeah, I'll get it.
So, you can see the thickness. This is a pretty thin one. In fact, that one I almost went through. But that's how thin the light is. And that's the bottom. That's how thick my layer is. But that just tickled me to death when I saw that.
Now, did you actually make the tool too, or is that?
I bought the tool from Trent Bosch. This here, but the rest of it I made. And then I didn't make this, but the rest of it's all rigged. But that just tickled me to death.
How's that work though?
Everybody asks that. Again, it's just as long as that and that stay the same. And you put that piece of tape where you're. See, there's a guy on the internet that he's a real wizard, and he can photograph his tool and superimpose it on there, and it looks like the tool's in there.
So I know green screen, but how's that tape get picked up?
Say what?
How's the tape get picked up?
Well, the tape's right
Tape's
there.
on the screen.
Tape's on the screen.
It's on the.
I understand that. Okay. But it's functioning like a green screen and television. Okay, how is that?
What it's functioning like is this is always going to stay here, and as long as this always stays here,
Okay.
then when you put that piece of tape on your screen, everybody. And I did the same thing. I said, how in the heck does that work? I thought it was magic.
Okay, no, I was
He charges $1,600 for that thing. I got that thing for $7, and if somebody gave that to me,
It's just a computer monitor?
yeah, it's just an old computer monitor.
Okay.
Now, if that computer monitor moves, would that screw it up?
Nope.
Okay.
Okay.
Because it,
No, you put the monitor.
No, I got the papers on that.
I knew you'd like it. I just love that thing.
Right.
The newer monitors are VGA, so you have to get a RCA to VGA adapter.
Now, a friend of mine said, look, I don't like all these wires. Let's go wireless. I said, all right, we'll bring one down. So he brought one down, we put it in there. That wireless Wi-Fi stuff, it looks great, but there's a little bit of a delay. So if you're in here and you're close, and you move it a little bit and it doesn't show, so I couldn't do it. You may be able to find some that are more expensive that doesn't have a delay, but the one he had a delay, so I'm just sticking with my $7.50 Chinese model. But that is just slick. Huh?
If you remove that piece of tape now, will we still see the tape?
No, you won't see the tape. Because I mean, if you take the tape off, then you're just taking a picture of the end of your tool. Isn't that something though? Huh? I knew you'd like that. Trent Bosch's unit itself is not terribly expensive. The last I looked at it, I thought it was what, $250 or $300? How much was your Trent Bosch tool here? This thing?
I think it's about 300.
Was it about 300?
The big one that I have.
And
the video thing was $600.
yeah. See, and again, I made this, but it took me all weekend, and it was more trouble than it was worth. I mean, I got $100 worth of steel in it, and then I got a whole weekend's worth of drilling and filing, and so if I did it again, I'd just buy it. But, yeah, 300 doesn't include the tool here. That's another 100 or whatever it is. But that is cool. If you're a hollow vessel guy.
How deep can you go with that particular tool? That's
The probably, we'll see, again, if you're doing hollow vessels, you only want to go this deep with the curved one. That's all farther you want to go. Now you can go deeper because this thing is really pretty solid, and then you switch to a straight one. Because once you get the shoulder done, that's the hardest part of all these things. You get the shoulder. And on these little ones, I got to show you something else. Yeah, I forgot that. I'm going to sell something today for you. For the small vessels, I don't know how many of you at home got the Robert Sorby one, that Robert Sorby curved one.